Education is not solely about delivering knowledge and pursuing academic progress, but about supporting students with their physical and emotional well-being, allowing them to have more opportunities to socialize with teachers and friends, and providing enough support to maximize future career options for students. I remember the day I was about to go to school, getting all dressed up. Then our school principal abruptly announced that we had a day off. At first, I thought it was a generous gift from our school principal. I never even imagined that this day off would continue up to today. I would say it was the most bewildering event dealing with this abrupt and drastic change while never knowing when it would end. Since the start of the pandemic, education has gone digital. The educational setting has shifted from the classroom to home. I don't want to deny that there have been benefits to a certain extent. COVID-19 enabled expanded freedom of education regardless of time and space. For me, during the pandemic, I didn't have to commute to school, so I saved approximately 2 hours every day back and forth. It has also provided students with more opportunities to learn and experience an online educational environment using multiple platforms. Unfortunately, this only applies to those students in parts of the world which have access to electronic devices with e-learning capabilities or other forms of education such as academies or private tutoring during the pandemic. I will be analyzing how the COVID-19 pandemic negatively impacted education in terms of academic achievement, physical health, and emotional well-being. COVID-19 has highlighted the academic gaps between rich and poor, urban and rural areas, and developed and developing countries. Fundamentally, the accessibility of the internet has been unfair. Moreover, the pandemic changed the source of exterior motivation from friends and teachers to solely family members at home. The pandemic has hit those whose parents are not educated and not wealthy enough to support their education effectively. Additionally, according to the United Nations, Sub-Saharan Africa has faced one of the biggest challenges, as less than half of primary and secondary schools have access to electricity, the internet, and computers. Second, the outbreak affected the physical well-being of students. Health concerns have surfaced due to excessive use of electronic devices in terms of eyesight and body posture. Also, online schools catalyzed a drastic reduction of physical activity and poor diets for marginalized students. Meanwhile, especially in developing nations, we see more serious challenges. Due to the absence of school, child labor has become the only means of survival for numerous children, and there have been increases in child marriage and teenage pregnancy. Once involved in these activities, that student loses a chance for physical safety and academic prosperity. Lastly, students' emotional well-being has been significantly influenced as well. School closures increase the degrees of stress, self-harm, and exposure to domestic violence due to isolation from a safe community like school. Alongside this, students can barely form bonds and relationships and socialize with their friends due to the absence of face-to-face interaction. There is a Tibetan proverb: a child without education is like a bird without wings. Numerous students are at risk of losing knowledge, skills, and the mindsets needed to succeed in the future. Now, it's time for us to work for more resilient and equitable education for all. Thank you.
Grace, I have a quick question for you. What can the UN do to help those students who have fallen behind, because of the coronavirus pandemic in developing countries? What can the UN do to help those students catch up? Like, is there something we can do to bring them back? What's your maybe what would be your solution if you were in a leadership position?
Mm-hmm. Considering that UN is an international organization, I would like to suggest 3 possible specific solutions, like practical solution, touching 3 aspects that I've talked about in my speech. First, about the academic aspect. Academic-wise, I think UN, it's an organization where they can urge governments for the governments to practice policies on a national level. And to do that, I think the UN should urge national governments to provide more free online academic after-school studying sessions for students, because I know as a student that we need additional support in terms of our academic, like in terms of like face-to-face tutoring. Of course, face-to-face tutoring is impossible during this pandemic, but we actually need like one-on-one lessons from experts, and that might be possible by UN urging the schools. And also, secondly, on a psychological aspect, I think UN can urge schools to provide more online like counseling systems that the schools can implement. And also third, on a psychological, on a physical aspect, I think they can also provide more online yoga classes or other workouts that students can practice, yet following the pandemic protocols.
Some kind of
at the same
PE
time.
thing or something, physical education.
Since
okay.
currently, PE is impossible.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Grace. I appreciate it. Good answer.